Welcome back! It is officially spooky season, which means it is time for Ghoul Ready with me. If you're new to the channel, let me break it down for you. Every spooky season, which is basically whenever I decide spooky season's happening, every Friday's video will actually be a spooky video, usually with some kind of weird SFX makeup going on. Hence the contacts and the big glob on my forehead. Okay, so what we do is I tell you a spooky story while doing some spooky makeup, and I make the story up off the top of my head, which is fun for me and fun for all of you. So if you don't like spooky ooky, I'm sorry, but Fridays are not going to be your thing. But if you do like the spooky ooky, if you're a little spookster, welcome to your new home. Okay, so with that said, let's get started. I do have, like I said, I have whiteout contacts in, so I can't really see with them in. I have to keep moving them around, so you're gonna see me playing with my eyeballs. Just go with it, okay? And enjoy the story. Let's get spooky. Brenda had recently been engaged, and sadly her fiance had cancer and he died. And she started going to this support group, and that's where she met Mark. His fiance had also recently died in a horrible accident, and you know, they had the same grief counselor, as it turned out, and also the support group, and they just sort of started talking to each other and kind of leaning on each other for support. And you know, when time felt right, they kind of approached the idea of starting to date. Of course, you know, she kind of felt awkward about it. Like, you know, what would her fiance have thought of this guy? It was a lot to process. And, you know, she knew he was going through the same thing. He and his fiance had, like, just moved in together. It was a whole, you know, lot to process. Just, you're starting your life with someone and then suddenly they're dead and you feel guilty about moving on, but again, you're so young that why wouldn't you move on? You know, it was hard to get through, but they finally decided that it was the right move for them, and things got a little intense and they decided to move in together because they knew better than anyone. You don't know how much time you have left. So they moved in together. They were worried that it might be a little too fast, but again, they didn't move fast enough the last time. Might as well go for it now, right? So she starts boxing everything up, and of course her family kind of had some concerns. Like, what do you mean you're moving in with this guy? You just started dating him like a month ago. Like, what are you doing? But she's like, I know him and I trust him, and you know, we've been through a lot together, and you know, she had excuses for it. She had excuses for everything. So her family was a little uneasy, but they went along with it. They're like, okay, you know, you know what's best for you. We'll trust you on this one. And I'm sure his family had the same concerns, but they thought this was what was best for them, so no one could tell them otherwise. They started moving all their boxes in, and they moved into his apartment because he had the bigger apartment. And she kind of felt a little odd about it, though, because that's where his fiance had died. He didn't really talk to her a whole lot about exactly what had happened, but she knew it was horrible. And that it happened there at his house. But he didn't seem like, you know, weird about it or anything. Like, he was just, you know, it's just a house. So she went along with it. She moved in, she started bringing in boxes, everything was going fine. And then one night, he got up to go to the bathroom, and she had some boxes in the hallway that she was intending to unpack that day, and she just hadn't got to them. Because they were still working and all of that, you know. And he ran into the boxes in the hallway on the way to the bathroom and kind of had a bit of a fit about it. She had never seen him act like that, never heard a cross word from him. And that had her a little, like, concerned. Like, maybe he's a little more stressed out about this than she thought he was. Maybe they are moving too soon. She wasn't sure what it was, but she went out there to see if she could help him kind of move the boxes around. And for a split second, she swore she saw someone else standing right at the top of the stairs. She blinked and they were gone, and she thought, okay, it's late, I'm tired, it's fine, it's whatever. So, to get the boxes sorted, and he apologized for his outburst. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm a little stressed out, and I wasn't expecting these boxes in the way, it's fine. You know, I'm sorry. So the next day, you know, she goes to work, her coworkers are like, how's it going? And she's like, oh, it's fine, you know, I think the stress is kind of getting to us a little bit, trying to move all these boxes and unpack things and find new places for things and all that, but other than that, we're okay. And they said, well, what do you mean the stress is getting to you? Well, like, he had a little bit of an outburst last night. I've never seen him like that. It kind of freaked me out at first, but it's understandable. It's fine. You know, we're in a stressful circumstance. It's okay. He was just venting a little bit. Well, their coworkers had met Mark, and they thought he was a pretty alright guy, but they always kind of tried to look out for Brenda, because she is very trusting. Brenda seemed to like the guy. She seemed to trust him. It's fine, you know? Well, she got those boxes unpacked, and she was kind of trying to find places to put things, and she kind of moved some of this stuff around. He came home from work one day, and again, he didn't like something she had done, and he started having a fit, and he was really slamming doors around and just really having a fit about it. And she had never seen him like this. So she went to go check, and she thought she felt hands on her back. And they gave her a little shove. She looked around. There was no one there. So she goes to him, tries to see what's going on. She had put something that, you know, he didn't like that it was there, whatever. Easy fix, she'll move it. She went to go grab it. He grabbed her wrist tightly and said, don't touch it. I'll do it. I'll put it where I want it to go. She had never had him touch her like that. And again, she was very freaked out. Like, why would he act like this? What is going on? Well, again, she, just out of the corner of her eye, thought she saw someone standing at the top of the stairs. He saw her looking, and he looked, and he said, what are you looking at? And she said, nothing, it's fine, just whatever, move whatever you want to, wherever you want to. And she went to the kitchen, made herself a cup of tea, because she needed to relax. Well, not too long after, he came in, and he, you know, apologized, said work had been rough, and he just was not having a good day. And he didn't mean to take it out on her, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, one night, it was a horrible storm. And she thought she heard something out in the hallway. He was fast asleep, of course. So she got up to go investigate. She's looking around, She couldn't find anything that was making any kind of noise, but it sounded like there was someone like walking around out there. And then a flash of light hit and she saw someone standing at the top of the stairs. So she goes, "Who are you? Why do I keep seeing you here? What is going on? What is happening?" Well, just like that, the figure was gone. When she woke up the next morning, she didn't say anything to Mark about it because she figured he's not going to believe me. He's going to think I'm crazy. She didn't even tell her friends at work because what would she say? I keep thinking that I see someone standing at the top of the stairs at his house? That doesn't sound sane. It's not a sane thought, right? So she kept it to herself because, you know, there's no sense in making everyone worry about her. She's fine. She just keeps seeing people where there's not people. Well, one night, Mark comes home and he had been drinking. And she could tell he had been drinking. She didn't really mind him drinking so much as just, you know, it was really late and he was being really loud. Just didn't entirely appreciate it, you know? Like, come on, I'm trying to go to bed. And then he said, "Oh, you think you can just do whatever you want, like she did?" Well, she didn't know what he meant by that. So she said, "What? What do you mean? What are you talking about?" Well, I kind of realized he had said too much. So he said, "Nothing, never mind." But she had a feeling she knew exactly what he meant by that. Well, the next time the rent was due, he had to be out of town on a business trip. So he had told the landlord that she was going to be the one to pay the rent that month. To expect her at his office and all that, okay? She goes in there, pays the rent like normal, and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" And the landlord's like, sure. And she said, "He doesn't really talk about it. I know that it happened there at the apartment, and I'm just wondering what exactly happened? How did she die?" Well, the landlord said, "Oh, it was terrible. There was a storm, and she fell down the stairs, and she couldn't turn the lights on because the storm had wiped the lights out for the entire block. And she just fell. She hit her head at the bottom. There was a huge wound, and by the time the paramedics got there, she had lost too much blood. They couldn't revive her." Well, that confirmed all that she needed to know. She didn't fall. She was pushed, and she knew it. What she didn't understand was why this ghost kept appearing to her. He would never do that to her. He was such a sweet guy. He just, he had a lot going on. There was, a reason he is the way he is. So she went home, climbed to the top of the stairs, and said, "Listen, I don't know what your story was, but I need to know what happened here. Why do you keep trying to scare me away? What's going on? Do you think that I'm in danger?" Well, of course, nothing happened. Why would a ghost come when you want it to, right? She still had the whole weekend there by herself, so she just kind of sat on it. Thought about it, do I really want to do this? Do I want to try and flee when I don't even know if I'm really in danger? Like, yeah, he's, you know, been a little snappy, and he said some things that were a little alarming when he was drunk, but he was drunk, and, you know, he would never hurt me. He's just been really stressed out from work, and that's all it is. He's just stressed out. Like, she kind of convinced herself that, you know, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Whatever this ghost is trying to pull, like, I'm not falling for it. I'm fine. We're all gonna make it just fine. And then he came back from his business trip, and he was in an even bigger mood than he usually is. First, it was the flight got delayed. And then there was a baby on the flight crying and screaming the whole time. He had a pounding headache from it. Just, you know, could not be happy to save his life. Then he wanted to know what she had been up to while he was gone. And he wasn't really impressed that she hadn't really done much of anything. I mean, she kept up with the housework or whatever, but, like, I don't know, apparently he had expected her to, like, deep clean the entire house while he was gone. I mean, she was still having to work and all of that. I don't know what he was thinking, but he just wasn't very thrilled. He seemed to be kind of belligerent this time. And the thought kind of entered her mind, what if I'm not fine? What if this ghost has been warning me for a reason? So that night, while he was asleep, she quietly got up, threw a couple of things into a bag, thought she was going to sneak out of the house. Well, of course, as soon as she got towards the stairs, she heard a voice saying, "Where do you think you're going?" And she said, "Look, I just feel like you've been very stressed out lately, and, you know, maybe we moved in a little too soon, and you've been very cross lately, and I just feel like maybe we need some time apart." Well, he started laughing. "You think we need time apart? I just went on a business trip. We've had time apart." And she said, "I think you just need to let me go. Just let me go, and, you know, we can talk about it. We'll talk about it, okay? I promise you, we'll talk." And he grabbed a hold of her arm, and he said, "You're not going anywhere." Well, she couldn't explain it, but somehow she knew the figure was there. She could feel it. He couldn't see it, but she could see, just out of the corner of her eye, some kind of ghostly figure with a huge open wound on her head, staring at him in horror. And that's when she decided she was not going to be his next victim. If he tried to come at her, she was going to try her best to push him down the stairs this time. So she told him, "Let go of me." And he laughed, you know. What was she going to do? She said, "Listen, it doesn't have to be like last time." Well, that stopped him for a second. You know, what do you mean about last time? What do you know about last time? She said, "I know enough to know that I need to get out of here. That's what I know. You know, no. Last time was an accident. It was just an accident. And she said, yeah, I'm sure it was. But you can let me go. And there won't be an accident this time. Now he was scared. He's not going to let her go. Not if she knows. She knew she had him now. He looked scared. She had some power over him. She knew his dirty secret. Still, she said, let me go, and I promise I won't tell anyone. I won't raise any alarms. You can go on about your life, just I won't be a part of it anymore. Just let me go. Well, he stopped at that. It's like, yeah, right. Like, you're just gonna let me go on about my life. No big deal. I killed someone. And you're just gonna let me go? She had managed to wiggle her way away from him, but he suddenly lunged at her. Again. You think I'm just gonna let you go? Knowing that you know? There's no way I'm gonna let you go now. I have to know how you know. How could you have found out? Nobody knows. Literally nobody knows. The police didn't even have a clue. They interviewed me about the accident. I bawled my eyes out. They had no idea I had done it. I found out from the only person that does know you did it. He was really confused now, because who could that possibly be? So he said, what do you mean? How could you possibly know? And she said, well, she told me. Or more like, she showed me. And he said, what do you mean, she? And she said, she. Your ex-fiancé. She's right here. Well, blindly, he looked around, and in that moment, she took her chance, shoved her entire body weight against him as hard as she could, and pushed him down the stairs. When he landed, there was a sickening crunch sound. She knew his neck had broken, but she just couldn't seem to find her cell phone. It was the darndest thing. Unfortunately, he died. And that's it for our first Ghoul Ready With Me. I'll see you next Friday. Ooh, spooky.